So this week's...
Just wave and just say hello to everyone. Hi!
Can I do this one?
Yeah, go on then.
Okay. I'm embarrassed now. No, I'm not really.
I'll do it then.
No, you won't. No, you won't.
Get on with it.
So on this week's podcast, we have got the amazing Dominic Brunt talking about his side hustle.
Oh, I can speak now. So Dominic, over the last 13 years, has made 6 films with his incredibly beautiful, talented, intelligent, good, I've got a bit of a crush on her, wife, Jo Mitchell. And he's going to be sharing with us how he got, into that and how it all evolved.
This is going to be a great one. This is our first male guest.
It's our first boy.
On the podcast. So I'm really excited about that. Yeah, let's talk to Dominic.
Let's talk to Dominic.
His side hustle.
Figs are made out of wasps, aren't they? Each fig is a dead wasp.
Are you just making this up?
Oh no, you're not a proper vegan.
Can we just interview Dominic, please? I'll be Googling that later, and so can you.
Hello, Dom.
Hello, Dom. Thank you so much for joining us. How exciting. We have got the legend, Dominic Brunt.
Legend.
So, should we...
I see what
you see that?
Can we, Matthew, can we just get on with the interview because we've only got 30 minutes here?
Absolutely.
So, can you tell us, first of all, don't be scared, Dom. I know I'm talking fast. I'm a little bit manic this morning, but don't be afraid. I love you.
Thank you. I've got a
you.
cup of tea as well. Thank you. It's quite tepid, but it's nice to have it. I'm not as high as you at the moment, but I'm going to try and join you.
It's all nervous energy. I'm exhausted. I've had a busy morning.
No,
I'm going to try and calm down.
We are really excited
We
about
are
having you on.
excited.
You're our first male guest on Celebrity Side Hustle.
First boy.
How many have you done?
So you're our number 5. And it's been very female heavy, so we're happy to have you on.
That's amazing. That's really, really good. Because I always get invited on things and Jo doesn't. My wife, who is my work partner.
Yes.
And I think it's healthy that you do that.
Yeah, well, we were actually considering getting you on with Jo, weren't we? But then it kind of went against the
format
of what we were doing.
We're trying to stick to a format, even though one week our eps an hour long and the next week it's 30 minutes. So, we're working on.
I heard that they were long because they've been shortened because Matt has to cut out your waffle.
Is that what he said?
That's
Did he tell you that?
me,
Did that come from Matthew? Funny.
Yes. I think he was joking.
I wasn't.
Let's start by talking about
And it's not me that cuts it out, it's Spen in there.
Hi, Spen.
Spends hours just cutting out waffle.
Can we start the interview? Can we ask you about your acting? How did you get into your acting? How did you get into Emmerdale?
That's a massive question.
Yeah.
And it's 2 questions.
It is, because I want you to give you like a starting point and an end.
I don't even know where to start. So, really briefly, and because I really don't want to be boring as well.
Right.
I don't want to be cut by...
Cut by Spen.
Spen.
Yeah.
Spen.
Good
What's
name.
that short for?
Spencer.
Oh, yeah,
Confused me initially.
Yeah, I was thinking
I've never
of
heard anyone else.
Sven.
No.
But then I thought it was German. You were going to...
I thought he was German as well.
Right.
He's not.
Let's go back
you asked me a question,
to
sorry.
how you got into acting.
So I was a welder for 5 years and sheet metal work developer. And then I finished my YTV course? No, what were they called? YTS course.
YTS.
And then that finished. And then I didn't know what to do.
How old
and
were you
I played
at this
guitar. I think I was 19. And then, so I'd left school at 15 to go straight into apprenticeship, speaking English. And then I played the guitar anyway. So I went to college, one of these performing arts colleges to carry on playing the guitar, which was a really stupid thing to do. And I still don't know why I did it.
Why did you feel it was a stupid thing to do?
Yeah,
because it wasn't realistic. Because I had a skill and I could have gone I was offered to go to the compounds in Saudi Arabia, and I was offered to go onto the oil rigs in Glasgow, and with my skills that I'd learned. And instead I went, I want to learn the guitar, and it was a stupid thing to do.
Was it though? Because where did it lead to? Yeah, that's what I mean. So you followed your little heart.
Well, no, I didn't. I put the guitar away in the end because I went on this course, and on the course they did acting and dance, contemporary dance.
Amazing.
Which you can imagine, as a welder, I wasn't that
We're
much
going to
of a
get
fan.
you to do some of that.
Thank you. Well, I can interpret all sorts of things like...
trees.
Flowers. I was just about to say trees. Yeah. That's I don't know if you've seen it before, but yeah, I'm a really good tree. And, you can laugh, but I'm a really good tree, and I'm telling you, I'm serious. and then I did. So then I changed onto the acting course, and then from there, I auditioned for drama school, and I got into drama school, and then I went for an audition for Emmerdale again.
So excuse me. How long after the drama
really
school was the Emmerdale audition?
After drama school, about 3 years after drama school. So I did loads of adverts and I did loads of dramas. I did like Soldier and Inspector Morse and loads of stuff like that. I had a really busy time. My agent was going, no, you're telly. You're going to get into telly. So she didn't let me do any theatre. She just pushed me for TV. So she just said, you've got an interesting face. And I didn't look like an actor. So every time I went for an audition, at that time, there was lots of people wearing like double-breasted suits and they had like curtains, haircuts. And I never looked like an actor, so I think when I went for auditions, they went, let's get the lad that doesn't look like an actor. So I kept getting lots of jobs. And I think the same with Emmerdale. I went and I had a jumper with a couple of holes in and I knew it was for a vet, and so I was up against loads of lads again with double-breasted suits at that time, and I just put my old jumper on and went for it, and I thought, I look more like a vet than any.
So this jumper, guys, is going to give me the edge.
Got it. I kept it.
So how old were you when you got Emmerdale then?
27.
27?
Yeah,
and
so
you've
I
been
left
there
drama
how
school
long now?
I've been at Emmerdale for 27 years.
No.
Yeah, half my life. Yeah.
I want to know, okay, so your side hustle is...
Yes.
Explain where you got into your kind of horror film, the love of horror films, especially this kind of gory horror that you've kind of, that's the genre that you've kind of gone into, isn't it?
Yeah. So growing up, my mate, Lee Whittaker, who's still my friend, his dad owned Accrington Video and just let us help ourselves to any videos. And so from 13 years old, you're not going to go for the Last Snows of Spring and all the things, or even the action ones. We went straight to the horror because I don't think he was bothered. He wasn't even looking. And then there was no certification at all. You could just grab whatever you wanted. There was a moral panic about that as well. I mean, it never did anybody any harm because we knew, like, even now if somebody shows me a picture of somebody being punched, like, look at this, it repels me.
Okay.
But if it's a really good effect, I'm cheering and clapping. I'm just like, how did they do that? It's a celebration of the fact that we're bags of blood, really, and if you pop us, we do something funny, and it's but. In reality, it's an appalling thing and it's repellent. And I hate violence, and the news upsets me. And I've got children and I can't watch things seriously without getting really upset. Mm-hmm. But special effects and in a non-spiteful story, I think is worth celebrating. I don't like films like Saw or what's the other ones? The ones set in a hotel. There's some really awful, spiteful horror that are not nice.
Oh, can you explain what spiteful horror is? Is it the ones with kind of like a slightly abusive towards women
like
in general?
Is
that like
I think it's known as, and things where the no hope stuff. There's even stuff out now that people really like that sort of stuff as well. But for me, it just doesn't. I like the more comic book side of things, and also like with zombie films, if you can kill a zombie as violently as you want. No, you can kill a person as violently as you want in a zombie film because it's fine. They're going to get up again and be a zombie. And you can kill them again. Yeah. And nobody cares because they're a zombie and they deserve to die. So there's that kind of side of things that isn't spiteful. And I enjoy getting hold of a good blood pump and getting the prosthetics done. And there's a skill to it, And, although we usually get people in to do that, and I just sit and watch and just go, that's amazing.
So when did you... did you write your first horror film? Did you write it yourself or did you get somebody to write it?
We got somebody to write it, so it's Mark Illis. We wrote the story and went with him with...
when you say we...
Yeah, myself and Joe.
You and Joe?
Yeah, so you get the what the cards called, like the postcards, and you
Post-its?
write... Post-its. I don't know what they're called. They're like real cards and you kind of like plant them out all over the table.
Like flashcard. Like,
a bit like flashcards,
yeah.
So we just talked to it, got it to 62 scenes, and then laid it out on the table, and then passed that to Mark Illis and said we'd like this because I'm not confident.
So you did the beat sheet basically, for him to do the writing.
Yeah, we knew the story we wanted to tell, and that was basically me watching lots of zombie films and Joe going, "These are dog." There's nothing to these. There's no characterization. There's no thingy. There's no. And I said, "Well, what would you do?" And she said, "Yeah, but okay, what if it was a couple like me and you and our differences? I'm male, you're female, she's from the south, I'm from the north, we're different classes, we're completely different people." She said, that's the drama enough. Well, you throw zombies at that and see what happens. And I was like, oh, that sounds really good. So we just wrote it as a kind of hypothetical thing.
Had you guys worked together before creatively, or was that the first time?
But as actors, we met at drama school, but also we got together doing Stags and Hens in Edinburgh at the festival. Mm-hmm. So we'd done that, but we'd never written before. We'd never written together or apart.
How old were you two when you wrote your first film?
It was 14 years ago that we wrote the story for Before Dawn, and then we made it 13 years ago.
Oh, wow.
A couple of days ago, literally, I put a post up saying, 13 years ago today, it came up on your memories, and there's me just putting blood all over Joe's face, so...
So you did all your flashcards and you handed it over.
Yeah,
and then,
yeah.
so what happened from there? How did it come to life?
Yeah, so Mark Hillis wrote the script, and he did a brilliant job. He did the screenplay, and then we passed it around, and we didn't really know who to approach. We approached people like independent horror makers, or you just don't know. So I think we went to a distributor, Helen Grace at Left Films, and she decided she believed in it. And Mark Price, who's made Colin and other things, he's a filmmaker, and they put some money in, not much, but enough to make it. But we couldn't afford a director, and we couldn't afford an editor. So then, and Mark Price said, "I think you should direct it. You know what you're doing. You're on a film set every day or TV set every day." So I had a bit of time before we could take the time off. So I really threw myself into it and asked all the directors where we were. But also I didn't want to direct as in telly, because there's what would you call it? There's
stylistic difference, isn't there?
Certainly a style for Emmerdale. You go wide and then close and then two shot and then singles and finishes like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I don't think I could do Emmerdale or a soap at that speed. Yeah. You just need lots of time. And also you're directing for that and a different frame size. So I just did loads and loads and loads of work looking into it, copying my favourite scenes from films, just raiding from everywhere, speaking to people, reading books. There's a series of, it's called like Master Shots 1, 2 and 3, and they're basic, but they're good.
I've seen them
they're
books,
good. They help. And then just got on with it and made it. But and then I had to learn how to edit as well. I had to learn the things.
So you edited. So you kind of you fell into the director. Of course, there wasn't enough money for a director, so it was kind of accidental.
Yeah, I didn't want to direct it at all.
And then you had to edit it yourself as well.
Yeah, but I had like a year. There was no rush to edit it at all.
Were you in it as well?
Yeah, it was just me and Joe. So we didn't pay ourselves, and it was done at our house as well with our friends. So. It didn't cost much, but it was ridiculous. And then the sound was bad, so Chris Greaves from work helped. He said that sound is unusable, and he taught me. He said 50% of any film is the sound, and I was like, yeah, maybe 10%, but it's true. You can get a bad film and put good sound on it, and it's great as long as the story's there. Like if you watch Blair Witch, it's just a shaky cam thing. It doesn't mean anything, but the sound and the sound design is brilliant. So he was great, and he saved our asses with that film. And then we put it into the festivals. And then seemingly every festival just took it. And we had the London premiere at Leicester Square at Fright Fest. And then from there, somebody took it on. The BFI played it to some people that came over from... I think they have a day. You have to pay to put it in. But I think they pay for distributors to come from different countries to watch a day or two of independent films. Yeah. And put it in front of them. And they put them up. It's a really, really good thing that they do. I think it's either BFI or BAFTA that do that. And then from there, it just went mad. It just went everywhere. Oh, Australia and Japan and everywhere. Wow. We saw a Mexican version of it.
Shut the front door.
Yeah, it was mad. And then Germany.
How many countries in total did your very first film end up being in?
I don't know which countries it didn't come out in. It was just
no
mental.
way.
It was ridiculous. And it was great. We just did it in the house, So, and then from there, in this country, somebody called Metrodome took on the distribution for here. And they said, oh, what else have you got? We'd already had this idea that kind of was horror but wasn't horror. It was the monster was human, was a debt collector. So we said we'd like to film this very human film, but as a horror film, as the debt collector being the monster sort of thing. So, and they went, oh, that's great, yeah. So we met them in Cannes, which was very Gigi.
Yes, getting...
And they paid for that. They paid for it to be made, and then that had a pre-distribution deal with them because they owned it then, and they distributed that everywhere. And but also Before Dawn had a cinema release in this country.
Did it?
Cinema release. Yeah, it was mental.
Was that your second? No. So how
that was
many?
The first one, Before Dawn. Yeah.
So your first one was Before Dawn. What was your second one called?
Bait. That was the one about the debt collector.
And how many have you done in total? Now, I know I'm skipping ahead, but I just want to ask the question.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
5 or 6.
So that's one film every 2 years since you first started?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. Well, I've kind of stopped for a bit because I did 2 films in 2 years. The last one was a werewolf one, which was absolutely brilliant fun. And then the one before that wasn't good fun at all. Oh. And so I just decided I'm tired and I'm busy at Emmerdale. I'm just going to give it a year or 2 to rest. Yeah. But then I've been writing like mad and I want to get going again now, so I want to start next year.
So you've been writing more horror stuff?
Yeah, I think that seems to be the genre that I like. I like the extremes of it, But recently, I got commissioned. It hasn't. Well, the series hasn't been commissioned, but I was paid to write the first episode of a comedy series, and so that's the first time we kind of come out of the horror thing.
And who's that for? Channel-wise?
I can't remember the name. No. Well, it hasn't been commissioned. I was paid by an independent
to do a pilot
to write the pilot, and they've got the arc, and then if it gets taken on, maybe I'll get taken on.
And has that got a horror element?
No.
So they've just come to you for the comedy because they see the comedy in the horror that you do.
Yeah.
And they've gone, this is the guy.
Yeah, but like the comedy horror, I don't really like comedy horror that much. We did, our third film was called Attack of the Adult Babies, and I was like, this is great. No one's seen this before. This is fat men in nappies, nurses with suspenders on, running around a big manor house, blood everywhere, shitty nappies, all this. This is a surefire winner, and it did nothing.
Really?
Well, I saw that film. It's just brilliant. I read a review. I was doing a little bit of research this morning. I read a review that said there's as much poo flying around as blood and guts in this film. It's brilliant! ! And it is just mental, isn't it?
We found out that people like red in a horror film. They don't like brown. And I've lived my life by that rule since then. I mean, it got a distribution deal in this country. It got a Blu-ray release, which is ace, and Trauma. Lloyd Kaufman in America took it on for America, and we were delighted with that. But very other few places took it on. It wasn't pure horror, and it needed to be. It wasn't too extreme. It was comedy horror. People don't really like comedy horror, and there was too much brown, not enough red.
So that was kind of your foray into like that comedy horror, and you feel like it didn't work. So
I don't think
kind
it
of
worked
gone back
in the
to...
whole. I mean, only 3% of independent films break even or make any money.
Really?
I was looking to it, and that was in 2001, 2020.
Only 3%?
So 2021, 2022, yeah. Because nobody asks for these films to be made. No one asks for these films to be made at all. And that's why studios do their work and then hire somebody in and do all that. Whereas independent filmmaking, I mean, some of them might get even, I think it's 20% get a distribution deal, 20 or 30% get a distribution deal. But out of them, the ones that actually make any money for the filmmaker are very few. And that is literally because, who's asked you to make this? You put it into the festivals now.
Well, you would think by the time it's been distributed to so many countries that then it would become lucrative.
Well, some of them do and some of them don't. Like the thing with Adult Babies, it maybe got into 2 or 3 festivals. So we'd made 2 on the trot that went everywhere, and we just thought, that's what you do. You have an idea, you make a film, and then you make it, and everybody watches it, and it gets a distribution deal. But for the first time, we were banging on doors and stamping on people's throats, saying, "Please watch this, and please take it on." And it was hard work, and it was kind of a success. It did pay for itself in the end, but a long time down the road. Yeah.
This was something that we were quite interested in asking you, because on this series so far, we've had other people's side hustles. We've had some people who don't make any money out of a side hustle. It's just a passion that they're into. Rita was really into kind of women's mental health and being a kind of a spokesperson for women that had had hysterectomies and were having mental health problems. That was her side hustle. And then we've had people like Brooke, who's making a lot of money online selling her stationery and her journals. We obviously didn't want to say to you, have you ever made any money out of your films? But how do you fund these? And do you make any money out of them? Or do you do it for passion? Do you do it for the love of it? Or is
both?
Or both?
I would say we do it for the passion, but they have to pay for themselves. And we, because they take so long to do, and especially if you're directing and producing together, which is what myself and Jo do, my wife Joanne Mitchell, you're giving away a year or 18 months of your life. And if the investor is looking to get their money back, they're looking to get their money back, and they're looking to make money on their investment. So the trick that we've learned is to pay yourself out of the budget. So you negotiate a budget, and out of that budget, you say, well, we want this for us to make it. because this is all this time. And I have got Emmerdale, but
Yeah.
at the same time, if I didn't have Emmerdale, you've got, and you should be paid for doing that.
Absolutely.
You
You're birthing these ideas,
Yeah.
and then you've got the drive and the passion and the talent to not only, write them, but then produce them and film them and edit them. And oh my God, of course you should be. But I think it's good. It's really interesting to hear you talk about the financial side of it, because I think from an outside perspective, even me who's in the business, when you hear about a film being distributed all over the world, you think, oh my God, if I didn't, know you, I'd just think, oh, they've made millions off that. And now they've had 6 films. And actually it's interesting because it's really easy to think that you do a little bit of work and suddenly, if something's a success, you just make loads and loads of money.
Yeah.
And actually, people can work for years and have an incredibly successful career, but like you say, you've got to fight for that wage.
But the trickle down with independent filmmaking is tiny as well. So you make the film and then you give it to a sales agent who then takes it away and gets it out there. So they take their cut. And every territory they sell to, they've not got the excuse, but they could say, well, we now have an agent in that territory, and we've had to do this work for that territory, and we've sold it to this distributor, who's then had to print this up and get it out and advertise it and do the artwork and try and get it out to all these places and pay for PR, all this, and then any money from that comes down to maybe the investor. And then after the investor, then there's you at the end of it. Well, the likelihood of making any money out of that is tiny.
You see, I didn't
we've
know
always
that.
said we'll take our wage out of the budget for the film, please.
That makes sense, because you don't think it's funny, isn't it? Even though that's really interesting to hear you say that and talk about the process, because you would never think that a distributor would have all of those costs and all of those overheads and want to take them immediately. You just suddenly think countries start knocking on your door and throwing money at you, going, can we have your film? And you go, yeah, give us...
Well, look what happened to Spinal Tap. The film has been released and re-released and cinema re-released, and Harry, is it, what's he not called? Harry Styles? Harry, can't remember his name. The chap that plays the bass player was one of the producers and directors of it. And, no, he wasn't the director, that was Rob Reiner. And he said, after all these years, we've made a couple of grand out of this film.
No.
This is not right.
It's one of my favourite films.
Well, he took
it's
him to
huge,
court, didn't he?
huge.
So I don't know whether he won or not. I don't know what the outcome of that. I don't know if it's still on the go now.
They only made a couple of grand.
I think they've maybe come to an agreement now, but he had to push and say, you can't keep re-releasing this film and saying that there's no money in it.
But it's one of the biggest films.
Every time we re-release it, well, we had to pay for this, we had to pay for this one. And it's probably true as well, But
I read somewhere about Will Ferrell and Elf, and he made more. There was an advert on last year where they used snippets of him in Elf, an Asda advert, I think it was, and he made more from that advert than he ever made from Elf. Nothing from it, absolutely nothing from
Madness,
it.
yeah.
So if we go back to, you touched a little bit on your special effects. We wanted to ask you, when you first started, did you do all that yourself? Or was it something that you always went to an independent company to do all that?
We always independent company or friends that were good at it. There's lots of people out there that are good at it. And when we started, certainly with Before Dawn, it was just a group of friends making a film. And we had 2 lads called Two Baldies FX. And they're still around, they're doing it, and they went for it. But we didn't want to... So that was the thing. So we had the handheld cameras, but what the budget that we did have, we wanted to spend on the special effects. So we spent a fortune on these they're called full scala contact lenses, and they go throughout the full eye. I mean, they're nightmarish. They just make your full eye red. And then the teeth as well. We had false teeth that were manky, and then the teeth and the gum clipped onto a bit of your lip, which looked like a bit of the lip was missing, so that everybody... So it looked great, So the special effects looked amazing. So even if you did it on your iPhone, you'd go, whoa, that looks amazing, So that was great. And the story was there, I believe, anyway. And that's half the fun, and then you get the pumps out and you get all that going. And and they had a little garage that they were working out of, and we'd go there every weekend to see what... They'd read the script and broken it down and said, now, the bit where he gets his neck bitten here, if we colour his neck, so you go to bite the neck, but then if you cut into this really close up, now watch this, and then he'd bite this bit of plastic out this thing and then start pumping away.
Brilliant.
You just, that's it. That's the whole thing, It's this celebration of that's a zombie getting somebody, and it looks horrific and quite funny, but later on, we fell in with Sean Harrison, and he's done Harry Potter and the Avengers and Sleepy Hollow.
What's
he's
he done on that?
sorts,
All the
everything.
effects?
Yeah, he's
Oh,
part of the
wow.
effects team on them. So, and he's become a really dear friend. So we very rarely work without him now as well. And also with some of the Baldies FX, they've come in later on as well, and they've been part of it. And I really like that linear thing of using very similar cast and taking people on this journey with you. You know?
Yeah.
Nicky Evans, I don't think we'll ever do a film without him.
Yeah, he's on.
Great,
Has he done every one of them so far?
He's not been in one of them. If the casting's right, you get somebody in, but sometimes the casting's not right. We wanted to use a friend in Adult Babies, and there just wasn't a part in it. You don't want to stand there in suspenders at 65.
Matthew would have done it.
I'd have done it, yeah.
Yeah, true, yeah.
He'd have been a great nurse in that.
So I like using the same people, and but the effects have got better and better and better as well.
I was going to ask that. Do you feel there's been an evolution in the work that you've done over the last 13 years?
I think
and
so.
in which kind of area, or just as a?
I think I don't know. I don't, because I've read an interview with Steven Spielberg, who you think, he must have got it sorted by now.
Yeah.
And even he said, no, filmmaking's horrible and it's hard and it never gets any easier. And you go, oh, thank God, even he said that. You know, we're bottom
Steve's
feeders.
saying that.
If Steve's saying that, and we're bottom feeders in the whole making of films, and it's hard for us. But if it's still hard for him, then you think, right, we're okay, we're all right. You know, so I don't know if we have evolved. We're just keeping doing what we're doing. I think with the last film, the budget certainly got higher, and that's not come out yet. That's doing the festivals this year, and then it'll be out later.
I have got a bit of a link to this film.
Seriously?
Have you?
Yeah, my two
of course.
sons did some voiceover work for
Yes,
it.
they did. I heard it the other day.
Yeah, Bowie, and then they got little Ace in. He was only about 3 at the time.
There's some really good pictures. There's some really cool pictures of him with the little headphones.
Yeah,
Of course.
It's his first little move into movie making. He had to sit in front of a little microphone like this, and
What did he say?
I think he had to shout for his mum or something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
He's got he'll have an IMDb thing as well. Won't he, as well, which
there we
means he's
go.
on his way.
Yeah, it was so nice that it was Jo, your wife, that asked if we could bring them in, and they could just do a little.
I just feel like I should say at this point, I really like Jo. I've met Jo
I'm
twice.
completely indifferent. It's strange. After 20 years of marriage.
She's a wonderful woman. She's very magnetic.
Is she?
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she's a very
she'll like
attractive
that.
lady.
She
is.
I'm still attracted to her.
Isn't she stunning?
She's
She's
my queen.
so
She's
chic.
beautiful. Of
So
course,
chic. She's just. I'm blushing.
We-
talking about Jo.
We spoke for an hour on the way in today, just so we were on the same page when we interviewed you. And I would say 45 minutes of that conversation was about her talking about Jo. Was her talking about Jo.
Well, you're very similar people as well, as in your health
take
and
that as a bloody
your yoga
compliment. Thank
stuff and
you.
all that, and you what you eat and things like that. You know, she's dead into that. You know, so
I hope one day I'm as chic as her. And what's it been like for you working with your wife on what must be sometimes, like, how do you navigate? There must be times when the budget becomes a real pain and a real challenge, or, you know,
she's a genius at that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's a genius at that. I've helped produce before with her, but she's unwavering and she's brilliant at it, and she's just. And the best thing is we've got each other's back as well. When sometimes it's gone wrong, we did one film that was awful for very many different reasons, and the fact is we had each other. You know, even when other people were going, this is this, and this, and you go, well, we're not in charge of that. You know, go and speak to them. You know, she was fantastic and she helped it. And as somebody that was causing one of the problems says, she's unwavering, and you're like, yeah, she is. She knows what she's doing, you know.
That's really good that you have got each other throughout this, because it's like you said, it's not an easy process.
No, never is.
And
no.
it could be quite easy.
Do you ever argue about anything on the? Sorry, Matthew.
No,
you're going to
it's
ask a
good.
question. I'm really interested.
I
in
think
that
I was going to ask the
dynamic.
same thing.
Yeah.
Like, does it ever become, or are you just a team? Like
No, 'cause
you against everyone else,
well, it's
you
the
two
same
against
as-
everyone else.
Well, sorry to interrupt you. No, she is the boss. When she's producing, the producer is the boss.
So
and you have to
she's
do
the
what they
boss
say.
in the sense, and you
Yeah.
allow her to take that lead because you trust her.
I wouldn't allow her. She'd take it anyway. You know, she's definitely, she is the boss. You know, she's and you have to understand that role as well. You know, she knows the legal side of it. She knows the accounting side of it.
Where did she learn all that?
Just from the bottom up. You know, and
From the process, from
Just from doing it.
and so, and
process,
is that when she started directing? Is that when Jo started directing? It went through the films that she was doing.
Yeah,
that you two
Jo
were
made
doing together.
Yeah, so she made 2 shorts. and they were very female led. They were the subject matters were very personal to her, and then an American company that we both still knew the producer, but as in many scripts that are out there, so many are not made, and this one bit. And they wanted female protagonist, female story, female director, female producer.
And this is the one she's doing now.
That's the one she's doing now. Well, that was made, and now she's doing second unit out in Serbia and Italy on another film now.
Wow. That's completely separate from the first one. It's not the sequel.
Completely separate, yeah.
I mean, so she's kind of transitioned mainly into directing now.
Yeah.
And that happened over the course of these 13 years where you guys started creating these films together.
Yeah, so I've been scrambling around on the floor with £200,000 films, and she's just pushed straight forward into the multi-million pound thing. And I'm not jealous at all.
You can tell.
I love that. So she's just become even more attractive. Like she's so successful.
God, I'm not speaking to you on the way home.
I love that.
So what's next, Dom, with your side hustle moving forwards? I know you've got this one that's going around the festivals at the moment. Have you got plans for the one after that?
Yeah, I've got a few that I really, really want to make. The thing is, dealing with Americans, they always want to say yes. Nobody says no. So you'll go to Cannes and you come away and think, out of them 5 films, I reckon we've got 3 made. And then you hear nothing, because nobody says no. They just don't want to do it to your face, you just never hear from them again. So there's been a few times, like years ago, I took 5 months off Emmerdale.
Yes, I remember.
To go and do a film, yeah. It came good in the end, and I stayed friends with some of the producers on it, but the exec producer, it just fell down with 2 weeks to go, and it was in Puerto Rico. I thought everything was... I couldn't believe the acceleration of it. It was filmed in Puerto Rico. I think it was a £5 or £6 million budget. It was all on the back of Bait, our second film. I was like, "What's happening here?" I was flown out to LA.
I remember
it was unbelievable, And thank God I didn't walk around like going, "Yeah, bye Emmerdale." And I wasn't like. I just said, "I just need this 5 months to get this done," and that's it. And then 2 weeks before, I think there was even the producer out there taking pictures of locations and booking the accommodation for everybody and I remember just thinking near the time, I was camera planning and doing the shot lists, but there wasn't much to do. It was like a hypothetical thing, even up to them. So you think it'll all come together. Maybe it's just how they do it, and it just collapsed, and that was it. So they had 5 months.
What was the reasons that they gave you?
The reasons were complicated. I think the reasons were there was a changing cast there, so it needed rewriting because I think the actors have got quite a bit of power over there, so they wanted certain parts rewriting, but then the original writers were kind of like weren't happy with the rewrite anyway, so they weren't playing ball. Then the Writers Guild of America stood in, and then to be fair, the exec producer stood in and went, "Do you know what? Let's put this to one side and let's revisit it when all this has been sorted out in 4 months' time." And you go, I live in England and I'm not a director here. Because also they were saying, as part of the contract, you become part of the Directors Guild of America and all this. So I was like, who knows where this is going to lead, you know? I mean, and it was lovely to go back to Emmerdale, and I love Emmerdale, and I've always been loyal to it, and I haven't got snobbery about it at all. We work hard, and I love it, but I didn't know what was going to happen, and then in the end, nothing happened, and that was it.
So when you say it came good in the end, did you get it made?
No, we didn't go. No, it didn't come good in the end. I mean, we made some really good friendships out of it.
Right. Yes.
And one of the producers I've worked with since as well, who's lovely, and I never blamed him anyway, you know. So, and that's the other thing, you know, just don't be a dick, you know. I didn't when it all collapsed. I was like, this is a real shame. Inside, I just wanted to scream and shout, and I did it. You know, it was really seriously upsetting. Yeah. But you can't kick off with anybody. You can't. You have to keep a level head and just be normal, you know. Communicate with people when things go wrong, because the other thing is filmmaking's putting together a 1 million piece jigsaw with 73 people. Well, you can't be a dick, you know. You have to communicate with people because things inevitably go wrong, and
there's going to be inevitable conflicts. There's going to be people having differences of opinions, and it's how you navigate that.
It's how you navigate that, and not being a dick, and having respect, and navigating and keeping channels open, you know. So when people start shutting doors and stopping communicating, that's when things go wrong.
So there's one thing I've learned from this, and you should learn from this podcast, is don't be a dick.
No, it's the first rule, isn't it? Surely it's the first rule, isn't it? Don't be a dick.
Well, we'll try not to be going forward.
Let's try not to be. I mean, trying's enough.
Trying's half the job.
Enough.
Trying's half the job, isn't it?
Yeah, but isn't it just as good as a mile and all that? You know, it's like, you either do or you don't, I suppose.
Dominic,
I wish we'd have interviewed Jo now.
We can get her back.
Can we get Jo on?
Yeah. She'll tell you how much of a dick I am. She'll say all that. It's just all words, yeah.
Right, Dom, well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thanks for mentioning Jo as well, because she did, honestly, I know I'm sat here, but I couldn't do anything without Joanne. I really couldn't. She's just amazing. No, it's true. It's true.
I think she's amazing, and I'm really interested to hear about what her journey was and where she's gone. But thank you so much for joining us. I'm really, really, really excited for everyone to hear about your story, because it is so interesting.
Thank you. I was honoured to be asked, and I'm sorry if I waffled, because I don't sometimes.
No, you don't. You were great. It's really good.
Waffling's good. And the thing is, if you waffle, she can't waffle. So it's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yay.
I
don't mind clapping.
That was excellent. That was really good. I really enjoyed talking to Dominic there.
I feel like I learned so much about the industry. And it's the industry that we're in to some degree.
Well, to some degree it is, but it's something that I've never... And I mean, I've talked to Dominic a lot about these films that he makes, and I've seen a lot of them, but to actually get an insight into how they're funded and how he makes them,
how they get distributed, and like the finances, but also I think what I loved most was hearing about how they came up with this creative idea and just followed it through just for the passion, just mates making a little film in their own lounge for no money, and then it evolving into this little horror empire.
And the way he speaks about his wife, about Jo, he really does adore her, and also they just seem to work together as a team just so well. It's so incredible. Nice, what a great partnership.
I know.
Oh.
Is that okay?
Yeah. Let's talk to Dominic. Why can't I just say a sentence without you saying the thing that I just said over the top of me? Let's talk to Dominic.
Right, come on. Okay, you ready?